What if I told you that the single most powerful predictor of how long you will live and how well you will live after the age of 60 is not your cholesterol level, not your blood pressure, and not even your weight? It's your muscle mass. That might sound surprising, but study after study confirms it. Muscle isn't just about strength or appearance. It's a biochemical organ constantly releasing molecules called myokines that communicate with your brain, liver, heart, and even your immune system. Every contraction you make, every time you climb a staircase or carry groceries, sends a hormonal message that says, I am alive, I am capable, I am maintaining youth. I'm Dr. William Lai, a physician and researcher who has spent years studying how the body heals itself. Today, I want to share with you what I've learned from both science and patient care, and yet, beginning as early as our 40s, we start to lose roughly 3–8% of our muscle mass every decade. After the age of 60, that process accelerates dramatically. The term for it is sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle and strength that silently drains vitality from millions of older adults. Here's what happens at the cellular level. As we age, mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses that generate energy within each cell, begin to decline in both number and efficiency. They produce more free radicals, less ATP, and trigger subtle inflammation that damages muscle tissue over time. Add in a slower protein synthesis rate, hormonal shifts like declining testosterone and estrogen, reduced physical activity, and chronic nutrient deficiencies, and you have the perfect storm for muscle loss. But here's the hopeful truth. This process is not inevitable. Modern research shows that muscle loss can be prevented and even reversed with targeted nutrition, exercise, and cellular support. It's not about trying to look like a bodybuilder at 60 or 70. It's about regaining energy, balance, coordination, and independence. It's about creating a physiology that keeps your metabolism young and your brain sharp. Today, I'm going to unpack what the latest science says about reversing muscle loss after 60. We'll explore how certain foods can either support or sabotage muscle regeneration. We'll look at why the type of protein you eat matters more than you think, and yes, which cheese might actually accelerate inflammation and muscle breakdown, and which alternative can do the exact opposite. We'll also dive into the role of specific micronutrients that act as cellular switches for muscle growth. Nutrients like leucine, magnesium, vitamin D, and omega-3 fatty acids. And most importantly, we'll connect all of this to real-world strategies you can use every day to build back strength, energy, and longevity. By the end of this session, you'll understand not just what to eat, but why it works. From your mitochondria to your metabolism, you'll see how small, consistent choices, like choosing the right cheese, timing your protein, or walking after meals can reshape your biology for decades to come. So stay with me, because what we're about to uncover could truly change how you think about aging and how you experience it. Let's start with a simple but profound question. Why does muscle disappear faster after 60? Many people assume it's simply because they move less, but that's only part of the story. The deeper answer lies inside your cells, specifically in your mitochondria, the tiny engines that power every contraction, every heartbeat, and every breath. Here's what research shows. By the time most adults reach their 60s, mitochondrial efficiency drops by up to 40%. These organelles become less capable of converting nutrients into energy, and as a result, your muscle fibers receive less ATP, the currency of cellular energy. This shortage sets off a chain reaction. Lower energy output means reduced physical activity, which further weakens the signal for your body to maintain or build muscle. It becomes a self-reinforcing loop of decline. But there's more happening beneath the surface. Aging muscle also develops what scientists call anabolic resistance. In younger adults, a modest serving of protein rapidly triggers muscle protein synthesis. In older adults, that same amount barely moves the needle. The muscle tissue simply doesn't hear the signal as clearly. This is partly due to changes in insulin signaling, inflammation, and reduced sensitivity of the mTOR pathway, the key molecular switch for growth. Now, the good news is that this process can be reversed. Studies show that older adults can regain youthful muscle-building responses by optimizing three main factors: nutrient quality, training intensity, and mitochondrial health. Let me break this down with a simple example. Imagine your muscles as a factory. When you're young, the factory runs smoothly. It gets raw materials, amino acids from protein, and the power supply, ATP from mitochondria. But as you age, the power flickers, the delivery trucks slow down, and the machinery rusts from low-grade inflammation. Rebuilding that factory means fixing all three: better materials, stronger energy flow, and reduced rust. At the nutritional level, that means prioritizing high-quality protein sources rich in leucine, the amino acid that directly activates M2R and stimulates protein synthesis. Research suggests that older adults need roughly 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal to fully trigger this pathway. That typically equates to around 25 to 30 grams of complete protein per meal, more than what most people over 60 currently eat at breakfast. Resistance training adds the second piece of the puzzle. Even lightweight or body weight resistance sends a signal that says, build and repair here. Muscle tissue is exquisitely responsive to mechanical stress. Just 2 or 3 sessions per week can restore anabolic sensitivity and stimulate mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria. Finally, lifestyle factors that support mitochondrial repair, like adequate sleep, sunlight exposure for vitamin D synthesis, and mild hormetic stressors such as sauna use, amplify these gains. Every one of these choices strengthens the signal for muscle regeneration at the cellular level. If this breakdown is resonating with you so far, go ahead and press the like button, drop a quick comment, and hit subscribe. It helps more people discover science-backed health content and join our mission to extend health span through knowledge. Now that you understand why muscle loss accelerates and how the process begins inside your cells, let's move to the next critical insight. The most misunderstood aspect of aging nutrition: the type and timing of protein. If there's one major nutritional mistake most people over 60 make, it's this. They eat plenty of protein by the end of the day, but almost none when it matters most, in the morning. Here's what research consistently shows. Muscle protein synthesis, the process that repairs and builds new muscle tissue, isn't constant. It's activated in pulses throughout the day when you eat protein. But not all protein meals are created equal. The trigger depends on one specific amino acid: leucine. Leucine is like the ignition key for your muscle engine. When it enters your bloodstream and reaches your muscle cells, it activates a molecular switch called M2R complex 1. This switch tells the cell, start building new muscle protein now. But to fully activate this pathway, you need a threshold amount, around 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine in one meal. That corresponds to roughly 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein from animal or plant-based complete sources. Now, here's the problem. Most older adults eat a small, low-protein breakfast, maybe a piece of toast, a little fruit, or a cup of tea. That meal contains very little leucine, which means the muscle-building signal never turns on. Then they eat a moderate lunch and a protein-heavy dinner, which is too late in the day to offset the muscle breakdown that's already occurred. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your muscles as a construction site. You have the workers, your muscle cells, ready to build. But if you only deliver building materials once at night, the site sits idle all day. By distributing adequate protein across the day, especially starting in the morning, you give your body multiple opportunities to repair and grow tissue. Several studies confirm this effect. For example, research in older adults shows that evenly distributing protein intake, roughly 30 grams at breakfast, 30 at lunch, and 30 at dinner, leads to significantly greater muscle synthesis than loading it all in the evening. It's not just the total protein that matters, it's the pattern. The best protein sources for maximizing leucine include eggs, fish, chicken, beef, whey protein, and certain plant-based combinations such as soy or pea and rice blends. For those who struggle with appetite early in the day, a small smoothie made with whey or plant protein isolate, a handful of berries, and a tablespoon of nut butter can be an effective start. And here's an important nuance. Older muscle becomes less sensitive to the anabolic signal from protein. That means you need a slightly higher dose per meal to reach the same effect as when you were younger. Think of it as needing to speak louder for your muscles to hear the message. If you're enjoying this breakdown, consider subscribing. I post weekly deep dives into longevity science, from nutrition and exercise to mitochondrial repair and cognitive resilience, all designed to help you extend your health span with clarity and confidence. Next, we're going to explore a surprising dietary trap that could be undermining your progress: a specific type of cheese that silently promotes inflammation and muscle loss, and the better alternative that supports muscle repair at the cellular level. When it comes to building or maintaining muscle after 60, protein quality is critical. But many people forget that not all protein sources support cellular health equally. Let's start with a common scenario. You're trying to increase your protein intake, so you add more cheese to your meals, maybe a few slices on eggs, some melted on vegetables, or a handful with dinner. After all, it's high in protein and calcium, right? That seems logical. But here's where the story takes a surprising turn. Certain types of cheese, particularly highly processed, aged, or high-sodium cheeses, can actually contribute to low-grade inflammation and metabolic stress that accelerate muscle breakdown over time. Here's what's happening at the cellular level. Many processed cheeses, including common varieties like American cheese slices, processed cheddar, and some aged hard cheeses, contain high levels of compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGs. These compounds form when proteins and fats react with sugars during high heat processing or aging. When you eat foods rich in AGEs, they build up in your tissues and activate receptors known as RAGE, receptors for advanced glycation end products. Activation of these receptors promotes oxidative stress and inflammation inside muscle cells. That inflammation interferes with insulin signaling and protein synthesis. Over time, this worsens anabolic resistance and accelerates sarcopenia. Another issue is the sodium to calcium ratio. Many industrial cheeses are loaded with sodium and additives that increase water retention, blood pressure, and endothelial stress, none of which support muscle recovery or mitochondrial function. In contrast, the calcium and bioactive peptides in natural, minimally processed cheeses have anti-inflammatory and metabolic benefits. So which cheese should you avoid, and which should you choose instead? Avoid the highly processed, shelf-stable, or prepackaged slices that contain emulsifiers, vegetable oils, and long ingredient lists. These are the ones most associated with AG formation and poor metabolic outcomes. Instead, choose fresh fermented cheeses like ricotta, cottage cheese, or goat cheese. Ricotta and cottage cheese are particularly powerful because they're rich in whey and casein, two proteins that deliver a high concentration of leucine and other branched-chain amino acids. They digest at different rates, providing both an immediate and sustained supply of amino acids for muscle repair. Goat cheese, on the other hand, offers a unique advantage for people with mild dairy sensitivities. Its protein and fat structure is easier to digest, and it contains beneficial short-chain fatty acids that support gut health, a critical, often overlooked part of muscle metabolism. In fact, several studies in aging adults show that consuming cottage cheese before bed can stimulate overnight muscle protein synthesis, especially when paired with a small serving of fruit for insulin support. It's an easy, inexpensive, and evidence-based strategy to help preserve lean mass while you sleep. Let me break this down simply. Think of processed cheese as a silent saboteur. It gives you protein, yes, but it also delivers inflammation and mitochondrial stress. Fresh fermented cheeses, by contrast, act more like cellular allies, nourishing your muscles, stabilizing blood sugar, and feeding beneficial gut microbes. Before we move on, a quick reminder: if you're finding this helpful, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. It truly supports the channel and helps spread science-backed health information that can transform lives. In this next section, I'll take you deeper into the micronutrients that work behind the scenes, the vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids that literally turn on your muscle genes and influence how efficiently your mitochondria repair and regenerate. So far, we've talked about protein, mitochondria, and inflammation, the key pillars of muscle maintenance after 60, but there's another layer many people underestimate: micronutrients. These are the silent regulators that control your muscles' ability to regenerate, adapt, and resist decline. Let's start with vitamin D. Most people associate it with bone health, but vitamin D is also a potent regulator of muscle gene expression. It binds to receptors inside your muscle cells, activating genes involved in calcium handling, contraction, and repair. Several large-scale studies have shown that older adults with low vitamin D levels have significantly lower muscle strength, slower gait speed, and a higher risk of falls. At the cellular level, vitamin D enhances mitochondrial function and reduces oxidative stress. It acts like a conductor, coordinating the electrical rhythm of your muscles. Without it, energy production becomes erratic and muscle contraction efficiency declines. The ideal blood level for optimal muscle performance appears to be around 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. For most people, that means regular sunlight exposure or supplementation with 2,000 to 4,000 IU per day, ideally taken with a fat-containing meal for better absorption. Now let's talk about magnesium, one of the most underrated minerals in longevity science. Magnesium is required for more than 300 enzymatic reactions, including those that generate ATP, your cellular energy currency. When magnesium levels drop, mitochondria struggle to produce energy efficiently, leading to early fatigue and poor muscle recovery. Research shows that older adults with higher magnesium intake have greater muscle mass and grip strength, independent of exercise. Magnesium also regulates inflammation by balancing calcium and controlling oxidative stress. You'll find it naturally in leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and mineral-rich water. Next comes omega-3 fatty acids. These essential fats, primarily EPA and DHA, influence muscle metabolism through anti-inflammatory and gene-regulating effects. They integrate into muscle cell membranes, making them more fluid and responsive to anabolic signals. Clinical trials show that omega-3 supplementation in older adults enhances muscle protein synthesis and improves strength when combined with resistance training. Think of omega-3s as cellular lubricants. They keep muscle membranes flexible, allowing nutrients and signals to pass through more efficiently. Cold water fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel are excellent sources. Plant-based eaters can rely on flax or chia seeds for ALA, which the body can partially convert into EPA and DHA. Finally, let's mention vitamin B12, critical for nerve function and energy metabolism. Low B12, which becomes more common after 50 due to reduced stomach acid, can lead to fatigue, poor coordination, and even muscle wasting. If you follow a plant-based diet, consider monitoring your levels and supplementing with methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin forms for better absorption. When these micronutrients work together, they create what I call a muscle regeneration network. Vitamin D enhances gene expression. Magnesium powers mitochondrial enzymes. Omega-3s reduce inflammation, and B12 supports energy transport. Each one strengthens the foundation upon which your protein and exercise strategies can succeed. If this is resonating with you, share it with someone you care about and subscribe for more weekly science-based insights. Now, let's explore one of my favorite topics, hormesis, the science of using small intentional stressors to trigger powerful muscle building and longevity pathways. This is where modern physiology meets ancient wisdom. If you followed my work for some time, you've probably heard me use the word hormesis. It's one of the most fascinating and empowering concepts in biology. Hormesis means that small, controlled doses of stress can make you stronger, not weaker. It's the principle behind exercise, fasting, cold exposure, and heat therapy. Here's what happens at the cellular level. Every cell in your body contains a network of sensors that detect stress. When exposed to mild challenges like lifting weights, sitting in a sauna, or immersing in cold water, these sensors activate adaptive pathways that increase resilience. The result? Stronger mitochondria, more efficient protein synthesis, and improved antioxidant defenses. Let's begin with resistance training, the most direct form of hormesis for muscle tissue. When you challenge your muscles against resistance, whether with weights, bands, or body weight, you create microscopic tears in the fibers. These tiny injuries signal your body to repair and rebuild them stronger than before. This process also stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning your cells create new mitochondria to meet higher energy demands. The key is progressive overload, gradually increasing intensity over time. For people over 60, that doesn't mean heavy lifting. Even resistance bands, light dumbbells, or controlled squats and push-ups can be transformative when done consistently. Just 2 to 3 sessions per week dramatically improve strength, balance, and metabolic health. Next comes heat stress, such as sauna use. When you expose your body to high temperatures, it triggers the production of heat shock proteins, molecular repair agents that prevent other proteins from misfolding, a major issue in aging. Heat exposure also boosts blood flow to muscle tissue, enhances insulin sensitivity, and supports mitochondrial function. In Finland, Studies show that adults who use saunas several times a week have lower rates of cardiovascular disease, dementia, and all-cause mortality. Then there's cold exposure, such as a cold shower or brief ice immersion. Cold stress activates brown fat and norepinephrine, which help your body burn fat for heat and improve circulation. It also triggers mitophagy, the cleanup and recycling of damaged mitochondria, making room for newer, more efficient ones. Another mild stressor that works synergistically is intermittent fasting. When done correctly, fasting stimulates autophagy, the body's recycling mechanism that clears out old proteins and damaged cellular components. This allows for more efficient regeneration once you refeed with nutrient-dense foods. Think of hormesis as tuning an instrument. Too little stress and your system weakens from disuse. Too much and you break the strings. But the right dose, frequent, moderate, intentional stress, keeps your system strong, efficient, and youthful. In practical terms, that might mean walking in morning sunlight to set your circadian rhythm, doing light resistance training 3 times per week, enjoying a sauna twice weekly, and finishing your shower with 30 seconds of cool water. None of these are extreme, but together they send a powerful message to your body. Stay young, stay strong, stay adaptable. Before we move to our final synthesis, let me remind you, if this message resonates, support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Every interaction helps spread credible, science-backed information that empowers people to take control of their health span. Now let's bring everything together: nutrition, micronutrients, and hormetic lifestyle into one clear, actionable daily strategy to help you reverse muscle loss and rebuild strength at any age. Knowledge only becomes powerful when it changes how you live. The first pillar of your daily strategy is nutrition, timing, and composition. Start your morning with a protein-rich breakfast, delivering at least 25-30 grams of complete protein. That includes roughly 2.5-3 grams of leucine to trigger the mTOR pathway and activate muscle protein synthesis. A great option could be a smoothie made with whey or pea protein, almond butter, spinach, and berries, or a bowl of cottage cheese with walnuts and flaxseed. At lunch, aim for another 25-30 grams of protein from fish, chicken, lentils, or eggs, paired with colorful vegetables and healthy fats. Distribute protein evenly across meals to maintain a continuous signal for repair. Dinner can feature a lighter but complete protein source, maybe wild salmon or lentil stew with magnesium-rich greens and olive oil for nutrient absorption. Avoid processed cheeses or high AG foods that promote inflammation. Choose fresh fermented dairy like ricotta or goat cheese, if you wish to include cheese. The second pillar is micronutrient optimization. Ensure adequate vitamin D, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and B12. These nutrients keep mitochondria functioning, nerves firing properly, and muscle cells capable of regeneration. Consider periodic blood testing to guide supplementation since individual needs vary. The third pillar is movement and resistance. Engage in some form of resistance training at least 2 to 3 times per week. This could mean lifting light weights, performing controlled body weight exercises, or using resistance bands. Focus on functional movements, squats, pushes, pulls, and core work that translate directly into daily strength. Even brisk walking or stair climbing amplifies results by improving blood flow and oxygen delivery to muscles. The fourth pillar is recovery and hormesis balance. Support cellular repair with regular sauna use, quality sleep, and mild cold exposure. Aim for 7-8 hours of consistent restorative sleep each night, the time when growth hormone and testosterone peak to help muscle tissue regenerate. After workouts, a brief sauna session can enhance circulation and stimulate heat shock proteins that protect muscles. The fifth pillar is consistency. This is the one that holds everything together. Muscle restoration and metabolic repair don't happen overnight, but small, steady actions applied daily compound into massive transformation. Think of every nutrient-dense meal, every walk, every set of resistance training as a deposit in your biological savings account. When you integrate these strategies, you create an internal environment that favors repair over decay, strength over frailty, and vitality over decline. You don't just slow aging, you reshape how you experience it. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Even adding 1 or 2 of these strategies this week can make a measurable difference in your energy and strength. Before we close, if this brought you value, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us bring more evidence-based, actionable longevity science to people around the world. Now let's wrap up with a powerful conclusion, a reminder of why these changes matter, and what you can do starting today to reclaim your vitality at any age. We began today with a simple but powerful truth. Muscle isn't just about strength or appearance. It's one of the most vital organs of longevity. It's a biochemical factory, an endocrine system, a reservoir of amino acids, and a driver of metabolic youth. When muscle declines, so does everything else: metabolism, balance, energy, even cognitive resilience. But as we've seen throughout this session, that decline isn't inevitable. In fact, it's reversible. Here's the key takeaway. Every choice you make, every meal, every step, every night of sleep, sends a message of growth or decay to your body. When you choose nutrient-dense foods, distribute your protein evenly, avoid inflammatory triggers like processed cheese, and prioritize micronutrients, such as vitamin D, magnesium, and omega-3s. You create internal chemistry that supports repair. Pair that with resistance training, sunlight exposure, and hormetic practices like sauna and cold therapy, and you stimulate your mitochondria to rebuild energy capacity and reverse many hallmarks of cellular aging. These signals don't just strengthen your muscles, they transform your physiology from the inside out. And remember, aging isn't a single event. It's an ongoing conversation between your genes and your environment. Every time you lift a weight, eat a balanced meal, or step into the sunlight, you're rewriting that conversation, telling your genes, stay strong, stay adaptable, stay young. So, here's my challenge for you this week. Pick just one change. Maybe start your morning with a high-protein breakfast or add a short resistance workout to your day. Notice how your energy, strength, and focus shift within days. Then add another small habit next week. Momentum is built through small wins, and those wins compound into transformation. Because ultimately, the goal isn't just to live longer, it's to live better. To walk into your 60s, 70s, or 80s with vitality, curiosity, and confidence. To maintain the strength to do what you love for as long as possible. If this message inspired you and you want to keep learning about how nutrition, micronutrients, and lifestyle choices can extend your health span, make sure to like this video, share your biggest takeaway in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we're building a community dedicated to evidence-based longevity and to living stronger, longer, and better every single day.